Hello, this is Cody Havard with the University of Memphis and SportRivalry.com. I want to wish everyone a happy Memorial Day, and I want to discuss something that's pretty interesting that happens in sport fandom with you. And I want to discuss it because the NHL Nashville Predators have made the Stanley Cup Finals, and I found myself, a somewhat moderate hockey fan, really getting into watching the Predators during their playoff run, and I want to explain a few things about people that others may describe as bandwagon fans. Well, describe bandwagon fans, it starts with basking in reflected glory, which is basically publicly identifying with a team that has experienced some level of success in a certain sport. The opposite of that would be cutting off reflective failure, which is ceasing to identify with a team that has experienced some type of failure. Now, typically, when someone courts with one team, they decide to birg with another team to protect our social identity. We do this because sport fandom can provide people with very positive benefits when we see a team win. Now, to explain more about this, we'll listen to Dan Wan, professor at Murray State University.
Game outcomes have a powerful impact on the psychology of highly identified sports fans. When their team is successful, fans report a positive general affective state and, more specifically, higher levels of happiness, pride, and confidence. Research indicates that this positive affective state can, in turn, influence a number of non-sport outcomes. In essence, the positive affect fans feel in response to their team's successes can spill over into other aspects of their lives. For example, fans of winning teams are more confident in their intellectual and social abilities, have higher job performance, and improved global well-being.
Now, next, to explain what a bandwagon versus a loyal fan is, for loyal fans, they feel as though the team is part of their personal identity. To explain more about this, we'll listen to Rick Grieve, professor at Western Kentucky University, an avid hockey and Nashville Predators fan.
In order to understand the bandwagon fan, what we need to do is we need to take a step back and look and say, why are people fans of sport teams in the first place? I tend to think that it is rooted in our need for belongingness. That is, as human beings, we have a need to be part of something larger. And sport fandom happens to fill that need. Now, when we start looking at bandwagon fans, those folks that jump on the bandwagon for a successful team, how do they differ, or why do they differ, or why do they do that from the long-term, long-standing fan? I think we can understand this if we look at Dan Funk and Jeff James' psychological continuum model that explains the stages that fans go through in their fandom, say levels of fandom, if you would. It starts with awareness, where the fan just first becomes aware that there's a sport team out there. And the next step is then attraction. The fan becomes attracted to the team. They start following the team a little bit. And then third step is attachment, where they start saying, yes, I am a fan of this team. And that ends in allegiance, where the person is what Dan Wan and myself would say is a highly identified fan. Somebody who says, this is part of my identity. I think the bandwagon fans are starting at that bottom. You know, the success of the team promotes awareness of the team. That brings an attraction because the team is doing well. For an example, my Nashville Predators here are in the Stanley Cup Finals. I have been a season ticket holder since day one. I would be what you would call a highly identified fan.
And I don't want you to feel guilty about possibly basking in the reflective glory of a team that you just identified, because there are some people that watch sport to experience glory out of reflective failure, which is experiencing some type of pleasure or excitement when a rival team loses to another team. So, whether you consider yourself a bandwagon fan or a loyal fan, remember, all are welcome, and just enjoy the game, because after all, that's what it's there for, our enjoyment. This is Cody Havard with the University of Memphis and SportRivalry.com, and I'll give Rick the last word.
There's plenty of room on the bandwagon for the folks who want to jump on and go along for the ride, because you know what? Hockey is